There's a really common myth out there that if you want your kids to be good at math, you have to make it fun for them. I see a lot of homeschoolers fall into this. And while that's partially true, you don't have to always make it fun for your kids to be successful. And that might even hinder the learning process. So I'm going to be talking about 5 real ways to get your kid to really enjoy math without having to always make it fun. And they're going to enjoy it even when it gets hard. So I'm Janine. I'm a mom of 10 and I have been homeschooling for 13 years. Most of my kids really love math. So I can't wait to share these things with you and help relieve some of the struggles that you might be having over math. So I see so many homeschool moms do this. They come up with a lot of elaborate things, a lot of elaborate activities, have the latest flashy learning app. And I also see them curriculum hopping a lot. So I think that they're searching for this magic formula that really does not exist. I'm here to tell you it's not as hard as you might think. So let's get into tip number 1, and that is confidence. So confidence really comes from knowing the material and being confident in your ability. Each of this is really breaking up those lessons into short, little, small successes. We want to keep lessons short and sweet. We want really simple lessons. We don't want to make it really messy. A lot of times that will happen if we're doing an activity. The kids have to learn the activity and they have to learn the math. So it can get confusing. We want no fluff. We want focused learning and just really clear step-by-step directions on what they're learning. And I'm going to be sharing a tool with you today that will really help you doing all these 5 things. And you're going to be able to try it absolutely free. So I'll get into that in just a little bit. You're not going to have to suffer through any meltdowns or any frustrations if you're keeping the lessons really short and sweet. That's going to help prevent fatigue. That's going to really give them that confidence because they're going to be able to master those short little tiny lessons, like 3 to 9 minutes. Anything less than 10 minutes is a short lesson, okay? Anything more than 10 minutes, and I think that they start to lose their focus and maybe some of the details get lost. I really love this tool called CTC Math. And if you haven't ever tried it, you're going to be able to get a free trial. Links in the description below. And you can also comment with the word math, and I can help you get more information or get you that link if you're having trouble finding it. The lessons that I love about CTC Math is from all the videos on the site, there's no video that is more than 9 minutes. And so it really, really helps. And the visuals that break down the lessons and the way that the teacher does them really help keep it simple and give the kids that confidence to know the material. After they know the material with those short little lessons, it's really key for them to practice. So a lot of the struggles that I see is when there's a gap in their learning. And so that tells me that maybe they didn't practice that specific skill long enough, or they didn't really internalize it. And so they're not understanding it. It can also mean that they aren't looking at it in different ways. So that, there's the same problem, but they're not coming at it at different angles. And so they haven't really learned that concept. They just know how to do it. They don't really understand it. Tip number 2 is to identify those gaps that your kids might have and to really practice those basic concepts, the foundations of math, so that when you get complicated lessons, that it isn't as hard for your children because they're having to learn so many new things. How CTC really helps in this is that there are adaptive questions that adjust to your child's level. And I love CTC because they give you access to all the grades, not just your child's specific grade. And so if your child needs to review, they can go back, or if they want to jump ahead, they want to go through the whole like algebra, or they want to, they really want to deep dive because they're really enjoying it, they can. There's also mastery-based learning. I am all about mastery-based learning. I don't necessarily like, you get 60% and then you're passed, because we don't know what percent is important, right? And so CTC, they only teach the important stuff. So you don't have to worry about filtering, right? You know that when your child knows this, they can move on. So mastery-based learning is a very important. They don't move on until they truly understand. So keep doing the lesson until they get 100%. And I'm going to talk more about the worksheets in just a little bit. So stay with me, okay? Have you ever noticed, you're working through your book and you realize that your child has a gap? Let me know in the chat below. Next tip I have for you is to motivate your kids. So instead of making it fun, motivate. A lot of times we mistake the two, whereas motivation is really lifelong. If you can help them apply that to their lives, like if they want to buy something, then you can try to apply the math lesson to that. Oh, we really need to learn this so that you can know how much change you get back so nobody cheats you. Whatever lesson you're doing, trying to apply that to their specific life. And then, of course, CTC helps with this because it's really self-paced, right? Like I said, and it lets kids challenge themselves if they want to. So if your kids are like, I feel like this is too easy, then they can skip ahead, right? CTC also helps with tracking and progress and certificates for motivation. So I love to take advantage of these certificates and I love to say, okay, if you get your certificate on CTC, then we get to have XYZ dessert. Okay, you get a pick or whatever, something special that they can work towards. That's a great motivator. So a reward can be a motivator. Math isn't going to always be fun for them. Maybe they get to a really hard spot and they're motivated because they want the reward. Maybe your kids have some interests. For example, maybe they like to game, maybe they like to play video games or they like to play board games or whatever game they like. I love to talk about how math really helps you in games. They help you to win and help you to strategize and calculate. If you want to motivate your kids, build in their interests into the math lesson. So, pro tip, try having your child teach you a math problem and they'll retain it better and they'll feel like an expert. That can be really motivating too, is when you have your child teach someone else. So maybe they teach their little brother, or maybe there's a friend that is struggling in math and your child needs some extra practice, or you just want to make sure they really know something, you could have that friend over and your child could give a little like lesson, right? It could be really fun, really short, but it helps motivate your children when they have a deeper purpose. Tip number 5, let them go at their own pace. Review often and then move ahead when they're ready. So it's really important to review often. And I love CTC Math for that because there are review sheets actually you can create yourself. So if you've ever wanted a worksheet on something and you have to go search it, well, guess what? CTC has their own built-in worksheet creator. You can take any of the previous lessons that you've done and just pick and choose what problems that they need to do on their worksheets. So that's awesome. You have to get a curriculum nowadays that really caters to our unique homeschool perspective because you know how it is. We don't know what grade our kids are in because they're in different grades for each subject. So when you can find a program like CTC that gives you access to everything, it really helps them go at their own pace, and that's motivating in and of itself. Right? If they're, going back and doing the lower grade work, that's okay because it's like open to them. You don't have to like go purchase something different. It's already in the system. And then they also feel great if they can skip ahead. So definitely highly suggest that if your kid is enjoying some certain specific subject or topic, that you go do the next step up in the grade above. So we talked about how making it fun isn't always an option, and it's not always the best way for your kids to learn. And so we want to make math a primary motivator. What does that mean? Well, that means make math fun in and of itself. And what you can do for that is instead of treating math like a lesson that they have to do, you can treat it as a lesson that they get to do. What if they're really enjoying a lesson and then you just cut it off? And you put it away and they're like, what are you doing, mom? I actually really like that. And then you can say, well, this is a privilege in order to use this program. And so we're going to have to do, something that you don't like first. And then when we get that done, you can do this lesson as a reward. And so you could treat the math as a reward or as something that they get to do instead of something that they have to do. That turns it into a primary motivator. Another way that you can do that is to really emphasize what they want to be when they grow up, discover their passions and things like that, and then encourage them that this math is going to be essential for them for what they're going to want to do when they grow up. And so, whatever that lesson is, whether it's area or percentages or whatever, try to relate that to something they want to be in the future, relate it to one of their heroes, something like that, where it turns math into a primary motivator. They want to do the math. The more that they have success, the more that they build their confidence, the more that they're good at it, the more they're going to enjoy it and love it. And it's not going to be something they fear. It's going to be something they look forward to. Another great thing to do, this is just a little bonus tip, is to make sure that you are doing it every day. Don't just do it every other day. Do it on the weekends even. Just build it into your routine so that they get used to doing math every single day. It's just like an exercise. It's just like your mental health walk. Build it into their routine, and a natural part of life is just doing math every day. Definitely want to try that free trial, and I'll link that below, or you can comment on this post. If you don't see it, just let me know. I highly recommend CCC, but hopefully some of these tips will help you with any curriculum that you're using. If you feel pressure to make math fun, remember that it doesn't always help your kids. So if you like those 5 tips, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.